everyone, welcome all. This is today's Vprople question. Help to shift library. Let me first explain the question. So the thing is, there is a librarian, and he is shifting his library. Okay, so two students are gonna volunteer him, are gonna help him. They are basically Ramu and Somu, and the condition is that to make the shifting process more interesting, he asked Ramu to carry iBooks and Somu to carry two iBooks in odd trips. And during even trips, Ramu has to carry two iBooks and Somu has to carry iBooks, where I is the trip number and trip are numbered from 1. Okay, this is a simple condition which they have given to us. This entire question can be done using for loop, if loop, and all those things. And yeah, one more thing, let me show you the input and output format also. See, in first line, total number of books which are present in the library should be given by the user as input, and for the output purpose, in the first line you have to display number of trips taken, which are taken to shift the library, shift the books from the library. Then in the next line, it should contain number of books carried by Ramu and Shomu separated by a tab. Okay, this is the most important thing, separated by a tab. Then next line should contains number of, sorry, name of the child who carried the last book. Okay, means three lines of output should be displayed in the after at the end of the program. Okay, you have to take one input. The input is basically the number of books which are present in the library, and accordingly you have to print the output, and the conditions are also shown over here. These are the conditions, like for all trips Ramu will be carrying iBook, and for event trip he will be carrying two iBooks, whereas Somu will be carrying two iBooks for all trip and iBooks for event trips. Okay, this is the condition. And yeah, one more thing. Yeah, who is he? He's Pranav Balaji, right? Yeah, so Pranav Balaji was the first person to submit the code to me. Pranav Balaji. In fact, when I saw his name on the leaderboard, his position was sixth position. Okay, and this is his Insta account. I'll tag him on Instagram also. And yeah, Muralidhar, he was the second person. Actually, the thing is, between Pranav Balaji and Muralidhar, there was a difference of 1 minute. Okay, that's I'm also showing his name also, Muralidhar, and his rank was 8th in the leaderboard. And after them I submitted my code, okay, that I'll be explaining you right now. And I was at the 13th position, I guess, on the leaderboard. You can go and check also. My name is Vishal Kumar Yadav. Anyway, now let's move on to the code. First, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a variable in which I'll be storing the input which I'll be getting from the user. Okay, so this is my variable whose name is num. Now see, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating few more variables which will be helpful for me in my entire code. So the first variable is Ramu. Let me set it to 0. It basically symbolizes that Ramu have carried till now 0 books. Okay. Now next variable will be Somu 0, and carried, let it be equal to 0. Okay. These are just the variables which I'm creating. I'll tell you what is the use of these variables. Okay. Now see, what I'll be doing is I'll be going for a for loop. Okay. Now suppose if there are totally, let me take an example. Yeah, suppose there are totally 24 books. Okay, 24 books in the library. So what I'll be doing is I'll be running a for loop for I in range starting from 1 to 24 plus 1. Why 24 plus 1? Then only the I value will be going up to 24. Okay, that's just, so let me just write num plus 1 over here. Yeah, so this is the for loop which I'll be writing. Here the value of I will be starting from 1 and it will be going up to num. Okay, now see, what is the condition which I'm going to apply is I'll be checking whether, see here I is nothing but the trip. Okay, the trip. So what I'll be doing is I'll be checking whether the trip is an even trip or an odd trip. So for that I have to write for I percentage 2 not equals to 0. What does it mean? It means whether I'm checking over here whether I is an odd number or not. Okay, so if I is an odd number, that means it is an odd trip. In that case, see what will happen. Ramu has to carry Ramu has to carry I books. That is what it was going to be, right? Wait, let me show you again. Yeah, see over here. If it is an odd trip, then Ramu has to carry I books. That's why I've written over here Ramu plus equals to I. Okay. So, and then I'll be writing carried plus equals to I. Okay. Carried is a variable which will be counting till now how many books have been carried, how many books have been transferred. Okay, how many books have been shifted. Okay, that's why I have to include this also, carried plus equals to 1. Now see, the thing is, even the library can even contain one book also. Okay, we don't know whether the library is having one book, two books, three books, how many books, I don't know. Okay, so we have to be particular about that also, that library can even have one books. So for that, what I have to do is I will be checking over here if carried is greater than or equals to num, greater than or equals to num. If that is the case, now what actually it means is if total books which have been carried by Ramu have become greater than or equal to the num value, in that case I'll be printing I value. I is nothing but the trip. Okay, see what's the input format, output format. See, in the first line I have to print the trip, number of trip. So this I symbolizes trip over here, number of trip. And after that I have to print what? I have to print how many books have been carried by Ramu and Somu. It's Somu, right? Yeah, Somu, with a space of tab. With they should be separated by a tab. Okay, see, Ramu, comma Somu with a space of tab. Okay, I have to give a tab over here. You can see over here, separated by a tab. Okay, so that's why I've written over Ramu, comma Somu separated by tab. And in the next line, I have to print the name of the person. In this case, Ramu will be the last person to transfer the book. Okay, that's I'm writing Ramu over here because till now only Ramu have carried a book, transferred, whatever, carried or transferred, no matter. Then now I'll be writing the same thing for Somu also. Okay, now Somu will be carrying how many books? He will be carrying two I books because I is odd over here, and now carried will become 2I. Sorry, 2I. Okay. Now I'll be doing the same thing. Once again, I'll be checking. I'll be checking if carried greater than or equal to num. Then in this case, print I. Then after that, print. Let me just copy it. Control C, Control V, and in place of this, Soma will be the person. Okay, Soma will be the last person. So this is the condition. This is the entire condition for the odd trip. If the trip is odd, so these are the conditions which we have to check. Okay. Now after this, let me write else over here. Else means over here if the value of I is not an odd number. Okay, if it's not an odd trip, if it is an even trip, in that case, what I have to do is, in that case, Ramu will be carrying two I books. So total number of total number of carried book will become equal to 2I, will be increased by 2I. Okay, it won't become equal to, will be increased by. Now once again I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be checking the condition over here again and again. Okay, so this is what I'm doing over here. I'm checking once again whether the total number of carried books have become greater than or equal to num or not. If that is the case, then print the required output. Okay, now what I'll be doing is, now see, now I'll be writing over here for Somo. For Somo will be carrying I book if the trip is an even trip. Okay, and carried will be increased by how much? It will be increased by I. And once again I'll be checking the same thing. If carried have become greater than or equal to none, then print this. Control V. Print this. Let me do one thing. Let me just run it, and Let me just run it, and I will show you what's the mistake in this code. Okay. I know what's the mistake. I can correct it also, but let me first show it to you. Let me run it. Yeah. So suppose there are total 24 books in the library. Then see, total number of trips taken will be 4. 16 books have been carried by Ramu, and 10 books have been carried by Somu, and they are separated with a tab in between them. This is the tab, and Ramu was the last person to transfer to carry the book. Okay, but let me see over here. See, in this example, wait a minute. Let me take one more example. Wait, actually, I took 24. Either I should have taken 27. Not a problem. 27, yeah, look over here. So if 27 books were there in the library, then Somu was the last person, and total 4 trips have been done. And Ramu will be carrying 16 books, whereas Somu will be carrying 14 books. But look over here. Here they are telling us that if there are 27 books, it will take totally 4 trips to complete the shifting. Ramu would carry 16 books, whereas Somu will be carrying 11 books, isn't it? But here we are getting 16 plus 14. That is not equals to 27. It's equal to 20. It is not 30. It's equal to 30. Just okay. So this is the problem which we are getting over here. How to rectify that? If you'll notice over here, what I've written is if carried is greater than or equal to num. So this is the problem. This is the main problem over here. Carried is greater than or equal to num. What's the problem? The problem over here is, suppose if Somu have carried till now carried 10 books. Okay, if he have carried till now 10 books, and only one book is left in the library to be transferred. But since it was an event trip, so Somu will be carrying 4 books at a time according to our code. So totally Somu have carried 14 books. And since he have carried 14 books, so carried 14 books, and for suppose Ramu have carried 16 books, so 16 plus 14, it's 30. And if 27 was the input, 27 was the input, so 30 have become greater than num. 30 have become greater than 27. So this code will get executed and will be getting the output. But still the Somu value have not yet correct. We have not yet corrected it because Somu have to carry only 11 books, but he had carried 14 books. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to correct the value of each and every person. Okay, for example, in this case Ramu was the last person, right? So for that, what I have to write is Ramu is equals to Ramu minus carried minus num. Okay, so what will happen over here? Let me tell you. Suppose Ramu have according to this code, according to this part, Ramu have carried 14 books. Okay, so what I'm doing is 14 minus, and carried books are 30. 30 minus 27. It's 30 minus 27 is 3. 30, it's 30. Okay, 30 minus 27 is 3. And Ramu have carried 14 books. So 14 minus 3, how much? 11. That is what we wanted, right? It's actually for the Somu part, but I'm explaining you with the example of Ramu. And see over here, Somu was last person. So I'll be writing Somu equals to Somu minus carried minus num. Carried minus num. And control C, control V. Let me write the same thing over here also. And over here, control V. Okay, now let me run this code. See, suppose if I'm giving 27 as the input, what I'll be getting? See, 11. 16 plus 11 is equal to 27. 4 trips. Ramu is carrying 16 books. Shamu is carrying 11 books. And Samu was the last person to transfer the book. Okay, he was the last person. See, what actually happening over here is, it's, yeah, since it's a 4th trip, that means it is an event trip. In that case, Somu will be carrying I books. That means Somu will be carrying 4 books at a time. Okay, so that's why initially we were getting 10 plus 4, 14. But now since I wrote this part over here, so what basically happening is, this is 14 minus carried books will be 30, and num over here is 27. So this will give you 11, and that is what we wanted. Okay, so that's why I wrote all this thing to get the correct answer. So yeah, that's all for today. This is the correct code. I'll be posting it in the PDF also. And yeah, once again, congratulations to Pranav Balaji as well as wait a minute, what's the name of the second person? Pranav Balaji and yeah, Muralidhar